folks!
Hey allihopa!
Welcome to another video. What are we doing today?
We are talking about the books that we want to read for the rest of the year, which is barely a month.
Basically in December.
In December.
I think there's a bit of a mix of books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Would you like to go first?
Sure. I want to read this one, which is Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahurin. This is the second book in the Blood and Honey series, and second book in Serpent and Dove. I got there in the end. This has been on my most anticipated books of the year, and I just haven't gotten around to read it yet. But I read the first one last year around Christmas, so I thought I'll do the same this year. So I'm looking forward to this.
I'm going to read 84 Charing Cross by Helen Hanks. This is a book that was actually gifted to me and recommended to me by a friend of mine and her mother. When they were last in London, they absolutely wanted to go to Charing Cross Road so that they could take a picture with this book because they loved the book so much, so I'm looking forward to reading it. I have no idea what it's about. Presumably Charing Cross.
The history of Charing Cross only.
Yes.
The next book I want to read is This Winter by Alice Oseman, and this takes place in the same universe as Heartstopper and Solitaire. So I think this is like the first Christmas that like Nick and Charlie and Charlie's family spend together. I'm not entirely sure. It's a Christmas book. Should be read at Christmas. It's very short and it has like mixed media, like illustrations and stuff. So it should be fairly quick to get through it as well.
My next book is Penguin's Poems for Life. This was also recommended and lent to me by my friend Alina. It's just a whole bunch of poems to bring you through all of the phases of life, basically. I'm looking forward to that.
The next book I want to read is this one. This is called Jag kommer hem till jul, but in English it's not called that at all. It's called The Most Wonderful Time of the Year by Joanna Bouluri. I read this last year and it was very silly. My mom sent this to me and recommended it to me. So I was like, I'll read it. It's a Christmas book and I thought it was kind of sweet. It's basically about this 30-something teacher who has to have a fake boyfriend when she goes home for Christmas, and the fake boyfriend is her next door neighbor who she hates. So you can see where this goes. It was very like silly, and a lot of the stuff I was like, this makes no sense, but I didn't mind.
The next book I want to read is A History of Our Favorite Christmas Carols by Andrew Gant. I bought this book several years ago and just haven't read it yet. But I love Christmas carols. I like to sing them. So I kind of want to know about why some of them are written, the history behind some of the frankly very strange lyrics. So here we go.
That sounds really interesting.
Yes.
You have to tell me all about it once you read it.
Don't worry.
The next book, this is like, the previous 3 books are books I'm definitely gonna read. And the next couple of books are books I'm like, I don't know if I have the time. And one of them is this one, Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Very new release, and I've heard people talk about it here on BookTube, and I thought it sounded really interesting. It felt like it had the same feel that The Starless Seas has, which I really liked. But this is much shorter than The Starless Seas, so. But it's basically about this character, Piranesi, I guess. I don't know, who is like in this house or library or whatever, and I don't know, just walks around and there's like a mystery, and it sounds like it's a bit like things just kind of happen, and I like those kinds of books, so I'm looking forward to reading this.
My next book is Yes by Anne Patterson. Used to Be My Landlady. It's about a woman who has a stroke and her recovery afterwards, and she can only say the word yes. She's not able to say any other words because she had a stroke. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to actually finally support my landlady, because I got this book like 3 years ago and still haven't read it.
At least you bought the book.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I even got to go to the launch party.
Ooh, look at you.
Yes.
Fancy.
I was living with her when the book was released. It's her first book, so help her out.
And the next book I have in physical form that I want to read is this monstrosity, which is The Devil in Dark Water by Stuart Turton. And it sounds really interesting. I'm currently reading his first book, which is The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle.
Yes.
I keep mixing it with The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and you can see why.
Yes.
Anyway, so I'm currently reading that one, and it's really interesting, and I like the concept, and this one sounds really interesting as well. It's basically a murder mystery on a boat during the 1600s. It sounds gay. I'm sure it's not gay, but yeah, it's basically this, like, I think this famous detective is held captive on this boat, and then his bodyguard has to solve a murder that happens on this boat. I don't really know. It's just it sounds really good. I have it on my bookshelf, and it keeps calling to me that, like, Tess, you need to read me, and I'm like, oh, okay, fine, I'll try. But it's very long, so I'm not sure I will make it this Christmas, maybe next year.
My final book is Girls Will Be Girls by Emer O'Toole. This is a book that I had previously started to read about 2 years ago, and then I got busy and never finished it, but I think it would be worth finishing, so I'm going to start over and hopefully get to the end. I think it's mostly just kind of stories about gender and gender expression and stuff, autobiographical, so kind of things that I am interested in.
And my final two books, one which I think is on its way, which is The Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, and it's basically a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but set in Shanghai and has some fantasy elements. And I've seen it all over Twitter and Bookstagram, and I am really excited for this. So when it arrives, I will start reading it. But currently it's on its way, I think. So and the second book, which is an audiobook, is The Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, which I don't know too much about the story. I think it's about, like, the chosen one, but the chosen one has to, like, travel across this world. I don't really know. It sounds really interesting. I just and some people have been reading it on BookTube, and it sounds really interesting, and I need to get into it. And that's it.
That's it. That's the books that we're hoping to read before the end of the year, but may not get to all of them.
It's just, I'm a very moody reader. I'll read what I feel like.
Yeah.
It's very rare for me to have a set TBR.
Yeah. It makes me feel very stressed if I'm like, I've got to read all of these books. So I kind of have, like, a pile of books that I'm thinking about, and then I'll dip into the pile.
Yeah, and sometimes completely disregard the
pile.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sometimes I just don't want to, and I'll read something else.
Yes.
Yeah.
And some of those books I'm like, I will get through these because I have to, and some of them are like, nah, they're just extra.
In the future.
Yeah, and obviously the audiobook I will probably definitely listen to, because audiobooks are just easy to consume. Please tell us in the comments below what books you're planning to read for the end of the year.
Yes.
Or if you want to read any of the books that we have mentioned.
Yeah, some Christmas themed ones, some not Christmas themed ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And our Twitter and Instagram and Goodreads are Tess Norland, so we're very easy to find if you want to follow us. And give us a thumbs up.
Yes.
And subscribe. Hej då!
Bye!